Hey guys, and welcome to this quick tutorial on how to develop a basic ETL process using Make automation tool. In this tutorial, we're going to learn how to export some beers data from a public API library, transform the data just a little to get it a little more clean, and eventually get it into our Google spreadsheet, which is our destination of the process. So for the ones of you who don't familiar with the term ETL, I will just say that it stands for extract, transform, and load, the three essential steps we need to take when transferring data from one place to another. So let's jump right into it and start developing our ETL process. So as we said, we have the source, we have the transformation, and we have the load steps. The first step is the extraction step. This is our source that owns the data that we're gonna play with. It's called Random Data API. It has all kinds of available resources we can take from. I chose the beers data because I like beers, and I guess that you like beers as well. We are going to use the base URL of the API and its parameters in order to get the data the way we want. So let's jump into our make scenario. As my trigger, my first module in the scenario, I chose HTTP request. You can see it here. Make a request, just a basic request, nothing special here. I can click on the module, and then I can start adding the parameters from our source. So this is the URL. We'll add it here, and after the v2 slash, we'll add the beers. We can just type beers, and then basically we should get some data if we run it once. Let's click on run once. And as you can see, we got a response of one beer. It's called Beck's. Me personally like this beer. It has all kind of data coming with it, like the unique identifier, style. You can see the alcohol percentage as well. But this is just one beer. We want to have more than that, of course. So let's see how we can add more data. The way to add more data is we can choose the size, number of results that we're going to receive in each call. And we also want to get the data by JSON. So we'll add these two parameters to our URL. It should look like this, as the examples show here. This is the URL. After the v2 slash, we chose beers. After the beers, there is a question mark, and then the size, and eventually the respond type. So let's add beers question mark size equals 25 beers, and another end character, and we'll choose the response type JSON. We'll edit here. That's it. Now we click OK and run it once. Let's see what happens. All right, now the data is expandable, and we see much more data coming. Data of 25 different beers with all kind of parameters, all kind of fields that come with it. So as you can see, there's not much that we can do with this text. We need to transform and clean it and arrange it before doing anything. So the first thing we're going to do is use the JSON module. Make is offering that module. We'll click on JSON, and then we'll use parse JSON. We'll connect it to the HTTP module, and in the JSON string, we're gonna put the data variable. Just click on the data, it will show up here, and we'll click on OK. Let's see what happens if we run it again. All right, now you can see that we have 25 bundles. Each bundle represent a unique beer. As you can see, this one is Guinness. All right, we have also Blue Moon. We have Storm King Stout. We have all kinds of beers actually, 25 of them. So now we can actually work with it because we have the data arranged by columns, arranged by bundles, which represent, for example, the rows in a database. So we have all that, and we can continue developing the process. Now we want each field, each one of these things, let's call it fields. So we want each field to be stored in a variable. So we're going to choose set multiple variables and then start mapping all variables from the JSON to the set multiple variables module. So first we have the ID, and then we'll choose the ID. And add item, we will have the unique identifier. Then we'll add the unique identifier and so on for everything. And BLG. All right, we have all the fields mapped in this module. Let's run it again and see what we're getting. You can see we have 25 times that this module has been running separately for each beer, and we have all the data as we saw earlier. So now that we have all the fields mapped as variables, we can move on and extract the data to our spreadsheet. So let's choose the Google Sheets module, and we'll choose Add Row module. All right, I've created a spreadsheet just for this purpose. I call it ETL example. Let's add the date of today. It's January 23rd, just so it will be easier to find it. Okay, we have it here. Sheet 1. And now we'll add the data as we get it from the set multiple variables. As you can see, it's pretty much the same. The data here in the parse JSON module and the set multiple variables is just the same. The only difference is that we're going to perform some transformations on the data which can't be done in the parse JSON module. We're going to see it in just a bit. So we'll just add the fields as they appear here. After the brand, we have the name, the style, yeast, malts, IBU, alcohol, and BLG. All right, let's see it in action. We can turn to the spreadsheet and actually see the data coming in. This is all the data, and we can also add the headlines. After the brand, we have the name and style, and then hop and yeast, and then we have malts, IBU, alcohol, and BLG. Okay, seems pretty nice, but only one thing that catches my eye. Eventually, I would like to perform some calculations on these three fields. To perform calculations, these three fields need to be numeric. It should store only numbers, no text, and no special characters. So what we can do in order to get only numbers and not other characters, we can go back to the set multiple variables module, and this is where we're going to perform a little bit of transformation to the data. So we're talking about these three variables. For the IBU, we'll go to the number section and we'll choose parse number like this and add a dot. It should look like this. Okay, let's see how it's looking right now. Let's limit our response just to 5 results and run it once. Okay, now we're getting actual numbers we can work with. Just to show you again, the only thing I used is the function called parse number. I put the variable within the brackets before the special sign, and then I put the dot, and then I closed the the whole thing. So these are our 3 numeric fields. Let me just delete everything from here. We're gonna start again from scratch. Let's run it again, and we're getting 5 results transformed the way we wanted, and this is what we want. All right, cool. But one last thing that we want to do, because we're getting random data, we can get the same beer twice and have it twice in our database, which we don't want eventually. We want each row to have a unique beer and don't have duplicates in our table. So what can be done in order to avoid it? We're going to use the UID, the unique identifier for each beer. Before we add the beer into our database, we're going to search for the UID. If the UID exists, then we're going to update the row and not add a new one. And in case there isn't such UID, we're gonna create a new row. How it's gonna be executed actually? Pretty simple. We're gonna use the, let me look for the search rows module, and we're gonna place it right here before the add row module of the Google Sheets. Now we're going to look for our relevant spreadsheet, which is ETL example sheet 1, and we need the UID. The filter is UID, column B should be equal to the UID coming from the multiple variables module. Okay, this is the filter, and we want to limit the maximum number of return rows to 1 because we shouldn't have the same beer twice. We click on OK. What's the problem here? Should be okay. All right. Now, after we search for the rows, we need to have a router. And in case it didn't find anything, we need to create a condition right here because we're going to have 2 routes coming from this router. And for the add row, the condition should be if the total number of bundles, it means that bundles is the amount of results the search rows came up with. So in case it found a beer, it can't be 0. It should be 1 or greater. In our case, it should be only 1 or 0. So the condition can be the total number of bundles. We'll look for the numeric operators. Number of bundles equals to 0, and we'll label it UID not found. We click on OK, and now you can see that we have a condition here, and we want to have another scenario, another route here for update a row. And this is like the fallback route. It means that first the UID was found, and secondly, if we choose the fallback route, we choose yes here and click OK. It means that only if this route, this condition is not being met, only then this route is being executed. If this condition happens, then only this one's happening and this one is just being deactivated. Okay, so it's just the same. Here we have the add row, here we have the update row. As we said here, the beer has been found. So in the update row, again, we need to look for the sheet, spreadsheet. The row number we can take just from the previous module, which is the search rows. You can see that we have the row number variable here. So we put the row number, and for all the rest, we can just override it with the data that we received. ID shouldn't be changed, UID as well, but for all the rest, we're just going to place the data that we have, the brand, the name, the style, etc. Okay, this is how our scenario looks. Let's increase the results to 50 and let's see what happens. So our database is getting full of beers. As you can see, all of the results are new results, nothing to update. Very nice. Okay, we have 50 results of beers. We can run it again. Maybe we'll get 50 brand new beers. Maybe we'll get some of the same. But in any case, you can see that our database is being packed with different kinds of beers as the automation being processed. Beautiful. 50 brand new beers. We have 106, 105 rows because the first one is the headlines. Pretty cool. We have a lot of beers and we can play with it. We can add calculations, average of alcohol percentage of the beers. We can group it by brands, by style, by everything that you think can have some value when analyzing it. So this is the whole process. This is how the scenario looks like. That's it. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned for some more data content about ETL, about automations, and about a lot of other cool stuff. Thank you guys.